Hi Aries, come on in and welcome to your 2020 yearly forecast. Wow, I've got a feeling you're going to be stepping into your best year ever. So let's have a look. I've just been doing some spiritual work, so the lights are down, but I will bring a lamp across so that you can see the cards while I do the reading for you. But I think it's going to be a good year for you, so let's have a look. I'm going to pull one card for each month, all right? And then we shall see what they say. So what's the first one? You see them before I do, of course. The Five of Wands. I think you're going to love the artwork on these cards, incidentally. The Eight of Cups. What's this one? The Ace of Swords. There's the Three of Cups. The Six of Discs. What's off the bottom? 1, 2, 3, 4, June. The Nine of Discs. Great. Good for you, Aries. I think it's going to be a good year. Let's see what else there is here, shall we? Let's take something from here. What's this? The Knight of Swords. And this one is the Four of Discs. What's this? The Six of Cups. That's always a good card, I think. Temperance. I think that might be your first major arcana, is it? I think it is too. Temperance, two more. The Hermit, and finally this one. The Four of Wands. Okay, why don't you come down and sit down next to me? I'll bring the light across, shine them down on the cards so you can admire the beautiful artwork while I do the reading for you. All right, Aries, here we go. From January to June and July through to December. Let's look first at this card of yours, which is in January. You look like you are going to be coming out of the blocks full steam ahead. The Five of Wands. Wands, of course, is a fire suit, and 5 for me is a very fiery number. Mystically, I have it associated with the planet of Mars, which is rambunctious, which is competitive, which is pushing things forward. I think that you may well have some very strong resolutions to do with yourself as to how you compete in the world and against other people and moving your life forward. I really think you have a resolution to do this in January. Let's have a look at the astrology of the cards. What do I get? I have Saturn in the first decan of Leo, that 23rd of July to the 2nd of August. Now, Saturn and Leo don't get on. And, well, because Leo wants to be creative and express itself, while Saturn is cold, dense, and wants to set boundaries and limits. Now, Leo here is a fire sign in a fire suit, added to by the energy of Mars, as I get from this number 5. And so what happens is that Saturn comes in and tries to dampen down all of this. So the astrological energies, the astrology is in discord. But I'd say that this is the situation with you, that there is going to be a lot of competition in your mind as to how you want to get things done. You might find yourself in the middle of a conflict, a tension, or a competition, and I kind of think that this in a way is with yourself. That is about improving yourself and making sure you put the best foot forward. And it may well be something that says, well, I really need to do this in order to move forward with my goals. See, conflict is not a bad thing. Conflict can actually force you to better yourself. It can force you to weed the mental garden. It can force yourself to become fit and to become ready to go and take on life. I think this card can often point to competition with people who have similar qualities and experiences as you do. Now, you may not have had to face the fire of competition before, but now you will learn what it means, and in particular what it requires. There is an angel associated with this energy. Well, I call it an angel. It's from the Greek word angelos, meaning messenger, as was used in the Hebrew Bible or Christian Old Testament. The name of that angel is Jerathel, and it has an association with another book of the Old Testament, the book of Psalms, and I'm pretty sure it's Psalm 40 verse 2, which says, "Rescue me, O Lord, from evil men. Save me from the lawless." Now, meditating on that name of Jerathel and on that passage, which is Psalm 140 verse 2, it will remove the dark force's presence from your earnings and its destructive influence from your life. The light will now be your silent partner, and you will be surrounded by its protection. Fantastic energy for you there. Let's have a look at this card here, which is the Eight of Cups. Now, here's the 8. Now, numerologically, of course, I like the number 8 because it refers to me as balance, as harmony, as power, and in particular of decision. Now, this figure in the Eight of Cups here, it reminds me of the Greek mythology relating to Heracles, or as we know him today, Hercules. Now, what happened was that the Greek king of the gods, Zeus, had an affair with a human woman. In fact, he rather ungallantly took the form of her husband, and unbeknownst to her, it wasn't her husband, it was actually Zeus that she was having sex with, while her real husband, who was a general, was away at battle. And anyway, the result of that union was the child Hercules. Well, Zeus's wife, Hera, found out about this, and of course she went absolutely deranged, as you might expect, and she did everything within her power to thwart the birth of the child. That didn't work, so then she said, well, what I'll do is I'll send a poisonous snake to go and kill the child while he was a toddler. But what the child actually did was he strangled the snake and then went on to glory as an adult. One of the things being the 12 labors of Hercules, which you've probably heard of. The first labor was to defeat the Nemean lion. Now, that lion had a skin that was impervious to arrows, spears, and swords. So those things were of no use to Hercules. But what he did, using his great strength, he ended up strangling the lion. He then thereafter took its skin off and used it as the skin to go and wrap around himself for protection. And I think during this month of February, that's what is happening to you. You will have, if you like, this cloak of divine protection around you. This is good because it's saying that you may well, during the month of February, and this can probably be something of a letdown after the holiday season, have a feeling of something of no get up and go. The astrology for me is Saturn ruling the first decan of Pisces, 19th of February to the 29th of February. Now, Saturn is about structure, organization, discipline. It's a very heavy energy and responsibility, whereas Pisces is intuitive, spiritual, likes to fantasize, and is very emotional. Well, what happens is that Saturn deadens completely the water of Pisces. Saturn dominates and suffocates the joy of Pisces. And there is also, I think, the flightiness of Mercury, because I'm looking at the association of the number 8 with the planet of Mercury in my mystical school. That comes into the picture as well. So the overall influence resembles dark Saturn with a feeling that there's no growth. And the other thing is that in ordinary astrology, Mercury is in detriment in Pisces. Remember, I have Saturn in Pisces in the card. So we have conflict in that area as well. However, all is going to turn out really well for you, because you have that cloak of the divinity around you. And I'm getting the feeling that you may feel, and I think that this is as a result of this newfound energy that you're bringing in here. I don't think things are moving fast enough for you. I think you're thinking that things aren't moving quickly enough, that there is some sort of a stagnation in your life, and that therefore you may get into a bit of self-pity and martyrdom, and turn away from your friends, or stop doing your personal projects. It's almost as if you will be denying yourself pleasure in a way. There's kind of I'm getting the feeling of a lack of effort and get up and go, which may be a reaction to feeling empty in your life or without anything that fulfills you. But that is not the case, because there are all these other cards coming after you, and this energy is, I think, just sort of thinking, well, where's it happening? Where's it happening? And that's the process that you're going through. There is a Psalm 16, verse 5, which says, "The Lord is my allotted share and portion. You control my fate." Well, meditating on that will ensure that with every step you take and each moment that passes, you will feel comfort, confidence, and a stronger sense of direction. That is guaranteed. I've been doing this for a long time, and it works. So that period where you think things aren't moving ahead fast enough for you, then takes you into March. Now, let's have a look at this thing here. Well, here is this eagle. What is this thing? The Ace of Swords. Well, so what's going to happen to you? You've had this great start to the year. You're full of energy. You've been working on yourself. You're very ambitious. You're going through things saying that, I want this to happen, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. You think to yourself, look, things just aren't happening quick enough. And then there's a feeling that you might get, things aren't going to work out, but they do work out. That's the thing, they do work out. And you come up with the idea then as to actually how to get things to happen. Because this Ace of Swords, and let's pull back a bit from it now so we can see it without it going out of focus. This Ace of Swords is really saying that well, I call this card the Lord of the Root of Powers of Air, and it's signifying to me that you will have quick thoughts and ideas, really quick thoughts and ideas. I think people who may be important to you at this time are Aquarius, which itself is an air sign like swords, and Pisces, and probably a Capricorn as well, is what I'm seeing around you during this period. I think that this is signifying to me a period of you of great insight and clarity, and it will signify a eureka moment of achievement, of goals, becomes so much easier as a result of this insight that you now have, because you will have a new perspective on life that was previously unclear. You will be able to get to the heart of the matter. You have gained a new vision and will pursue opportunities which draw upon your creative abilities and that razor-sharp mind of yours, so also upon your mental abilities. I kind of get the feeling that you'll be standing up for other people during this period, and also for your standing up for yourself. You've gained a new insight and inspiration. You've come out of the clouds of confusion and doubt into clarity, and really this is saying to me that it's all blue skies and that you should forge ahead. And forge ahead you shall do in a number of areas of your life. And what do we have here? We have the January, February, March. So then in April, the energy that's coming around you is look at these streams that are coming down. The streams fall from the source down to earth, just as if it were the divine energy. And then the tree grows up. It takes a number of different paths. Some of the branches are thick. Some of the branches twist one direction and others in another direction. There are young and flexible branches, and there are branches that are older. But one thing is noticing is that they all grow up. None of them ever grow down. They're all moving forward. I call this card the Lord of Abundance, and it is Mercury in the second decan of Cancer, 2nd of July to the 11th of July. Now, Cancer is the most maternal of the signs and well-placed in the number 3, I think, which is about gestation and growing and extension and development. So it's very well-placed there, along with being in the sign of Cancer. And if you know Cancer people, well, they can communicate with feeling, conveying a sensitive, withdrawn and thoughtful, gentle, intuitive nature. Well, they can sometimes take things a bit personally and come across as quite defensive, I've got to say, but probably not without cause in some instances, I'd say. Mercury in Cancer. Well, Mercury is about will, and this is pushing on from this first card here of Wands back in January, which is all about your willpower. Mercury here is about will and communication in Cancer, which is about nurturing. So you can express your feelings fully with people that you are close to in a way that enriches your life and in a way which enriches their life. I see gatherings of people around you during this period, family gatherings. It's possible that you may well be attending a wedding, I'd say. I definitely get the feeling of a birth. Also, you may hear of pregnancies or birth. Certainly, I get the idea of a birth of an idea or the setting of a goal. Sharing your success with others, and life feels good. It's certainly a good time to tell others that you love them. And it's also a good time to boost the morale of other people. I can't tell you the karmic reward which is obtained by making other people feel good. Even if it's just someone down at the local mall, you can just say, gee, I love those colors on you, or something like that. Not in a strange way, but you'll boost their morale that a stranger should come up and do that. There's great karmic reward for that. It is repaid 1,000-fold. Now, I'm getting very much the message of enjoy your riches at the moment, but be aware of their limitations and see them for what they are. I think there's a outpouring of love to 3 very special or significant people to you, and the presence of Mercury in this card is saying to me that you should communicate to them now that you do love them. Make sure you do that. Here we have then in May this 6 of discs. Well, the first thing that I'll say about 6 is that numerologically, it is really associated with the sun, and it's also associated with what I would refer to metaphorically as Christ consciousness or Krishna consciousness. Now, I don't mean to say that in a religious sense, but in the sense that there were humans whose level of consciousness raised up, such as they were able to apprehend, or very nearly so, that of the divinity itself. And so it's a particularly beneficial card to have for you. Now, this month is particularly great because I call it for you, and I'm getting the message here from the Lord of Material Success. This image here is half female and half male. I'm getting the male because this sort of snake thing is very phallic, so the imagery to me suggests very much male and female. Look, it's the moon ruling the second decan of Taurus, 1st to the 10th of May. Now, in ordinary astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which is a good sign. But the moon's transient nature means that I think you're going to have success, but the success may be short-lived. But if you think about it, success is not a continuum, is it? You have a success at a point in time, and that's it. Then at another point in time, you have another success. The moon likes nurturing and comfort. and Taurus likes material things. So they're really well suited for bringing about material success here. Oh, some of the thoughts that are coming up to me are success, generosity, both ways, giving and receiving, paying it forward, receiving a financial boost. It may well be that you obtain a grant or a scholarship. And for those who are accessing the welfare system, it may well be that you are approved for particular payments or for relief. I think this is talking about material success and financial prosperity. These seeds are really here. I'd have this thought in mind. My self-acceptance and self-confidence are the keys to real success. There is the opportunity to be involved in a profitable adventure, I think. And it is a reminder for you to remember the successes in your life and build on these. So often, I think what happens is that you will look and say, well, look, I want to move up here. And again, this is coming from this card earlier in the year, I think, where you say, I want to get to this point, but it's all uphill. It's on the top of that mountain. And yet, you don't recognize the mountain that you are standing on, that mountain of experience and accomplishment and achievement. It boosts you up. So really, you should be looking across rather than up. So be aware of your achievements to date. I think you'll have a desire for success. And the advice that I'm getting is that you should be willing to take risk. Obviously, you should be committed. Trust your intuition. Intuition never lets you down. We have consciousness through two ways, the mental and the heart. And the heart is able to understand things that the mind is unable to even see, let alone understand. Well, that card is followed immediately in June by this card here, the Nine of Discs. 9 is the sacred number, of course. And I call this card the Lord of Material Gain. It's Venus in the second decan of Virgo, 3rd to the 12th of September. Now, Venus is concerned with love, relationship, and money. And these are both expressions of your values, your pleasures, your tastes, and so on, aren't they? Venus is saying that if your heart is pure and you follow your heart, your life can only gain from this, and good fortune will attend your material affairs. For students of the occult, you may remember or recognize this as being the symbol of Baphomet, which actually the Knight Templars, an order of monks in the Catholic Church back in the medieval period, were accused of worshipping. Of course, they weren't. It's just that they had themselves obtained such power and money that the rest of the Catholic Church said the best thing to do is to murder them, which they did. Except a few of them escaped to Scotland, I think. I think that this is talking about a reward for your efforts, realizing your goals, financial and personal security, material security, a sense of self-sufficiency, I think. Projects, situations, and relationships all are going to be producing material gain for you. Now, this is not wealth, but you will look at this period and you'll say, hey, with these things that have happened, and I look back at it, do you know what? He was right. My life is better now than it was. I think that what we can also say here is that money should always be used wisely and not capriciously to harm other people. I think that there is a great karmic reward aspect to this card, I think. And you have extended yourself, haven't you, over time? You've given a lot of yourself. And maybe this is the universe saying, well, it's time to have something back. There's a karmic reward coming to you here in June. Good luck and good management in financial affairs, and a good level of financial security after hard work and planning. What do we have next? Well, in July, we have this interesting character, the Knight of Swords. Now, what can we say about the Knight of Swords? Well, swords, of course, is the suit of air, and knights, esoterically, are represented by air. So we have the airy part of air. And what do you think of when you have that? Just lots of wind blowing around, don't you? Well, yeah. Could it be? I call him the Prince of the Chariots of the Winds. I think that I'm getting the feeling that people important to you in this particular period are going to be Aquarius and Capricorn. The figures drawn as court cards, of course, can be of either gender. Even drawn as a man, it can also relate to a woman, but I'll speak as if he's a man. And I think it's a younger man who is intellectual, full of ideas and plans, very clever, but unstable, can be domineering, very elusive, and quite impressionable, I think. Lots of air, activity, not plans. Now, this chariot, which he's kind of riding in a sense, he's riding it along okay, but the fact is that progress in any direction is completely accidental because he doesn't himself actually have control over where this owl is flying, does he? He's being taken along for the ride rather than determining where it should go. So progress in any direction for this person is an accident. And it's as if he's not in control at the moment. So this is saying to you, just make sure that you're grounded, make sure that you do keep control, and make sure that your ideas are practical. Because what he creates, he destroys to produce something that he thinks is better. And when the creative process works for him, it works well, but it's not grounded in anything practical. And so for him, it's rarely fruitful, I think. This person could be full of ideas which tumble over each other. He's a mass of fine ideals which are unrelated to practical effort. He's clever, but unstable of purpose and actually personally indifferent to any of his ideas, knowing that any one of them is just as good as any other. He reduces things to unreality by sucking the actual facts out of anything and converting them into unsustainable ideas. Now, that's the energy that I'm getting from this person here. But the question is, are you going to fall prey to the same issues, I think? I think what this is saying that he can also be private and difficult to get to know. And there's a possibility, I think, that this is someone who actually lacks emotional warmth and empathy. So make sure that you always maintain your warmth and empathy there. I think this can indicate the need to slow down and analyze your thoughts to see if anything practical can be gained from them. Your mind is so good, you have so many things going on, and the question is to say, just stay focused. I think what this is saying here, just make sure you focus in and attack a narrow point on something, because you'll get better results for doing so. Now here in August, we have the Four of Discs. Now, the Four, of course, for me, is associated with the planet of Jupiter, which is about philosophy, which is about expansion. And I think it's, the thing is, it's also just straight out good luck associated with discs, with the four in discs, is what I'm saying. The Lord of Earthly Power is what I refer to the card as. And I see it as the sun in the third decan of Capricorn, 13th to the 21st of January. Now, Capricorn is a feet on the ground, eye on the prize sign. Those with the sun in Capricorn have a realistic, grounded approach to life that can be seen no matter how dreary or challenging the rest of their birth chart may be. But I see what's happening here is that the sun in Capricorn, the sun energizes the Capricorn earth and material benefits and or power are the result. Now, the sun in astrology is the symbol of your dynamism or power, and Capricorn is the application of that power in a useful way. I'm getting strong foundations, stability, a bit of a tight rein over the budget, I think. I think it's a time where you're being quite financially cautious, probably saving for the future and being quite defensive as regards your financial position. I think that there is, for me, the sense that this is, notwithstanding the pastoral sort of scene or the outdoorsy scene, this is a very material energy that I'm getting here. Life is orderly and secure, but it might seem to you to be kind of barren and discontented. You might feel here the sun is shining down here, but you might feel that there's some sort of spiritual energy lacking in your life. But I think that what will be the case is that financial and material security will be very important to you, and that you have solid foundations. You will be in the position to start acquiring assets as a result of sound judgment and wise spending and investments. Look, you will be willing to work for what you want. Confidence in applying yourself to the world is going to be all over you during this period, and you will be seen by others as being a dependable person who acts with integrity. Look, I just see fulfillment of your personal goals and dreams. This is really, that's what's coming through for me here. I have this affirmation, though, and it is, I offer my power in the service of love. Because you have a lot going for you, a lot going for you. And one of the things you've got going for you in September is this card, which is the Six of Cups. Now, you already know my thought about the Six, and it applies here equally as well. Sometimes the cards change depending on, or the meanings change depending on where the cards are, but in this spread with that Four of Discs on that side of it, and with Temperance on this side of it, that Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, sun aspect to the number of 6 stays there just as much as it did when this fantastic Six of Discs showed up for you in May. Now here's the Six of Cups. Well, what can we say about the Six of Cups? Well, the first thing is that I call this the Lord of Pleasure. It's the sun ruling the second decan of Scorpio, the 3rd to the 12th of November. Now, Scorpio rules the 8th house in astrology, which is all about sex and transformation. And here we have, because I have the sun in Scorpio, and of course sun in the number 6, we have a double dose of the sun. Now, a double sun reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. I'm getting pleasure, indulgence, sexual pleasure, excitement, communication with ancestors, family support. The pleasure that I see here is a kind of pleasure which is completely harmonized. The zodiacal sign governing the card being Scorpio, well, pleasure is really rooted there in its most convenient soil. This is a preeminently fertile card, and it is really, for me, one of the best in the deck that you can draw. The emphasis on the card is sexuality. But not in an uncontrolled way, not uncontrolled sexuality. I think there's going to be pleasure experienced after much hardship, because this feeling of the water for me is just showing that, look, you're coming out of the water, so there's been some hardship. You're getting out of something, I think. And I think that you've been undergoing a period of healing, and funnily enough, this water has moisturized you as well, I think, and served to heal you. and to transform you in a way as well. This reference here is to really a transformation that is around in the Moon card, but it doesn't really have that energy for me this year for you. The emphasis is on relationship, or the desire to have a relationship that will improve both individuals, where the whole is really greater than the sum of its parts. In temperance, what do we have to say about temperance? Well, first of all, we have, temperance. I hope you have eaten tonight, Tiger, because I don't want to be on your menu. With the card Temperance, I'm really feeling that for you in this month, there's going to be really, I think a Sagittarius is going to be important to you. Really getting a Sagittarius person around you. That sort of Sagittarius energy is coming through very strongly. I'm seeing Jupiter ruling Sagittarius with Dragon's Head, exalted. Dragon's Head, the north node of the moon, as you probably know. I call this card the Daughter of the Reconcilers, the bringer forth of life. And I think that you are going to maybe throw away the prop of being comfortable, or you may not let sleeping dogs lie. I think that you will be facing your demons and you will be throwing them to this tiger, and they, in fact, will be on the menu. I think that's what's happening. There's a combination of forces around this. How can I best express it? Probably the best way is to say that you will be drawing on a number of different energies at this time to bring upon you their benefit, to integrate themselves into you, to force a realization of something where you will have action based on an accurate assessment. I think you'll be having success after quite elaborate dealings, if I can say that. So there will have been a lot of complications with things going on, but you will draw all those things together and it will turn out to be successful for you. I also get the feeling of escape for you from this, so it may be that you get out of something that might have caused a problem for you. Well, that's always good to get out of something, isn't it? Now, here's this interesting card. Now, the Hermit. You don't often see the Hermit depicted in this way. The Hermit is often presented as being quite a religious figure. I don't see this at all for you. I see this as being Mercury ruling Virgo with Mercury exalted. Here is the Hermit's head, and then you see all this energy sort of coming through here. The prophet of the eternal, the magus of the voice of power. Yeah, Mercury ruling Virgo. I think you'll be a mentor. You'll have a love of learning. There'll be illumination from within. Almost a sort of a divine inspiration. Just having this thought. I am alone in a cold, grey, desolate land. There is no other to be found, no companion to ease the going. Yet you are the light I bear, even when I don't know it, and the strong staff that supports me. Yeah. I think wisdom is here for you. Wisdom. That's wisdom as a result of experience. I don't think you're going to compromise your values. I think that you will either want a significant relationship, and a relationship doesn't have to just be emotional or romantic relationship, incidentally. It could be a friendship, a business relationship, a work relationship. I think that you'll either want a significant relationship or none at all. There is the need for you to complete things from the past before moving forward.
And I think that there will also be within you the gift at doing practical things at this time. Now, that might be around the house. It could be within a garden if you happen to have it, or it could be in an artistic sense. I think you'll be a very good organizer. And I think this is also a time when you're going to think about, look, I might start looking after my body and sprucing up my surroundings. I think you can be a motivator or mentor for others. I'd have this thought in mind, which is this: I enjoy the feelings of completion and resolution. I will not compromise that which is important to me. I think you will become aware of something which you were previously in the dark about. And I think you may well also have some alone time during that period in November where you take stock of things, but then you look to me like you're going to then quickly make up your mind about what's going to happen going forward. Because here is the Four of Wands, that suit of fire, once again in the same suit that started the year in January, this time with the number 4 associated with it. The 4 is about power. It's about stability. You can almost imagine it as being almost like a castle-like. It's that sort of strength that's with the number 4. I think what I also have with that number 4 is the planet Jupiter, and the Jupiter is just good luck, to be honest, and about expansion, about making things go forward. I've got the Venus planet in the 3rd decan of Aries in this month for you. So that 10th of April to the 19th of April time frame for the decan. Now, interestingly, because I'm getting the feeling of emotion here. Venus actually rules two signs. It rules Taurus and it rules Libra. But I have the sense of emotion around this, so I'm going to place her in Libra. Now, when I say that it's Venus ruling Aries, that means that Venus has got to go to the other side of the zodiac wheel, the complete opposite side of the zodiac wheel, and the YouTube astrologers will tell you that means that she's in detriment. And she is. She's gone across from Libra into Aries. And Mars is the ruler of Aries. Well, Venus, beauty, love, relationship, and Mars, energy, chaos, forest fire. You'd think that would be a problem, wouldn't you? Well, I actually don't think that it is a problem for you. I think what happens is that Venus comes in and exercises her feminine charms and wiles, if you like, to settle down the rambunctious and aggressive masculine Mars, such that we get some sort of an attraction of opposites. And I feel that what's going to happen is that maybe after a period of some thinking about things for yourself and your way forward coming into the year ahead, the next year in 2021, you're thinking to yourself, do you know what? I feel like there's either somebody who I've never thought of before that now I'm interested in, or there's something which I haven't pursued before or had an interest in that I'm now going to pursue and have an interest in. So there's that opposites attract thing. So you see, Venus is also the planet of emotion. And I think what happens is that you can kind of have an emotional idea, which is Venus, to get going in new directions, which is Aries. You know, I call this card the Lord of Perfected Work. It's a green light to success. It's the first stage to completion, possibly setting up a new residence or moving home, I think is possible. But what I really get is that it represents, I think, that something needs to be completed despite a desire of you to move on to new things. This might relate to work or new relationships or a new dynamic within an existing relationship. It can also relate to the self, where one aspect of you wants to go in one direction, like that, and another aspect of you wants to go in that direction, like that. Or, in fact, stay the same, like that. But the point is that you are going to be moving in new directions. And this is a card for success. It's important for success and the new direction that you decide upon. Using your instinct and intuition is going to prove very good for you in the following year. Well, that's the way it is for you, Aries. This might well just be your best year yet.
Well, there you go. That's it. Your 2020 annual reading done. I tell you what, I think that this is going to be your best year ever. I really do have that feeling about it. I've got to say that the vibe that's come out of that reading of yours is very, very positive, and you should be looking forward to this year. By the way, I just want to say also that you've been fabulous. You've been great, and in fact, you've been brilliant, and you've played your part of this exercise to perfection. And I thank you for that. Look, really, all that remains for me to say is this: that you are a legend, and I hope I see you in my monthly readings. Subscribe if you want, but check out the videos anyway. Till then, bye for now.